The stars above Earth burned cold and distant, silent witnesses to the struggles of a small blue world. Humanity had grown used to looking outward, to dreaming of the stars. But few truly understood the danger that lurked beyond their skies. On a distant edge of the galaxy, a storm of destruction was forming, an unstoppable force that would soon wake to challenge everything humans thought they knew about power. In the grand chambers of the once mighty galactic empire, High Counselor Voris stood before the council. His multiple arms moved with controlled precision as he addressed the assembly, the weight of centuries of failure pressing down on him. The empire had always considered humans a primitive species, easy prey to conquer and subjugate. But that belief had cost them dearly. 50 cycles ago, Voris began, his voice echoing through the hall, we first encountered the humans, a single world called Earth. Their weapons were laughable, their fleets insignificant. We dismissed them as inconsequential. His eyes, dark and unyielding, swept over the council. We were wrong, murmurs spread among the delegates. The insectoid Zans shifted nervously, their many eyes blinking in apprehension. The Avankishi delegate, sharp-tongued and impatient, demanded, then why have we suffered losses? Why do our fleets falter before them? Voris's voice hardened. Because humans are not what they seem. Where we see weakness, they see opportunity. Where we rely on power alone, they wield ingenuity and courage. Their commander, Jeffrey Kennedy, has shown brilliance beyond anything the Empire has faced in millennia. His strategies are unpredictable. His forces, though small, strike with precision and devastating efficiency. A holographic map flickered to life above the Council's central podium, scenes of battle played across its surface. Imperial ships burned in orbit around Adani Prime, their once proud formations reduced to chaos by clever ambushes and hidden traps. Human forces had fought street to street, using guerrilla tactics and improvised weapons, delaying the Empire's advance for months. Voris slammed a fist against the podium. We underestimated them once. We cannot afford that mistake again. Meanwhile, light years away, Captain Zorax of the Imperial Scouting Fleet navigated his vessel into orbit above Earth. His feathers bristled along the ridges of his crest, a nervous energy that even his disciplined mind could not erase. The humans had proven resilient, adapting to every move the Empire made. Their primitive sensors somehow detected his cloaked vessel. Captain, we are being hailed, the young Brunel officer at the communications station reported. Alarm rippled through the bridge. Zorax's eyes narrowed. Impossible, he muttered. Our cloaking technology is centuries ahead of theirs. But the main screen confirmed the truth. A human appeared, a man with piercing blue eyes and a calm, commanding presence. Greetings, Imperial vessel, he said. I am Commander Jeffrey Kennedy. We've been expecting you. For a moment, Zorax was speechless. How could these humans see him? What other surprises lay in wait? Every instinct screamed danger, yet duty compelled him to respond. I am Captain Zorax of the Galactic Empire, he said, forcing calm into his voice. We come in peace, seeking dialogue between our civilizations. Kennedy's smile was faint but knowing. Of course, Captain. We welcome peaceful discussion. Join us on the surface. There is much to discuss. The Imperial shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere. Clouds whipped past the viewport as Zorax's heart thudded with unease. They were walking into the unknown, and the humans had the advantage. They were home. On the surface, Kennedy's team observed the shuttle land. They had prepared for this encounter carefully, revealing just enough of their capabilities to keep the Empire guessing. The real game had only just begun, a high-stakes dance of diplomacy, deception, and deadly intelligence gathering. Back in the council chambers, Admiral Zala's sharp eyes scanned the room. Her scaled fingers twitched with anticipation. The humans were more than a nuisance, they were a puzzle, a weapon forged in struggle and resilience. She proposed a covert infiltration, a mission that would send elite agents to integrate into human society, to learn their secrets. Debate erupted among the council, voices rising in tension and fear. Enough, Voris thundered. We face more than a failed conquest. Humanity is not a mere threat. They are a force that can define the future of the galaxy. As plans were drawn and counterplans devised, a shadow stirred in the void beyond known space. A strange pulse of energy rippled through sensors, faint and fleeting. Neither human nor Imperial instruments fully registered it, but it was a harbinger of a threat older and more terrible than either side could imagine. Voris stared at the display, a grim realization settling over him. Humanity was not the only force to awaken, and when the other threat arrived, the choices made now, on Earth in the Imperial Council, in the hearts of commanders, would determine the survival of every species in the galaxy. The stars seemed to flicker in warning, silent witnesses to a reckoning that had begun, and somewhere deep in the void the threat stirred, ancient and patient, waiting for the moment to strike. Humanity's resilience would be tested, the Empire's arrogance would face its consequence, and the galaxy itself would tremble. Earth's cities were quiet now, but the silence was deceptive. Beneath the streets, inside fortified bunkers and hidden command centers, humans moved like shadows, preparing, planning, waiting. The Empire believed Earth's defenses were weak, primitive, and predictable. They were wrong. Humanity had learned to survive through ingenuity, speed, and thinking the enemy could not imagine. Commander Jeffrey Kennedy walked through the main operations room, his blue eyes scanning the digital displays. Holographic models of Imperial ships hovered in midair, showing fleet formations, weak points, and predicted attack patterns. Every detail was collected through years of observation, intercepted transmissions, and human intuition. Lieutenant Mara Chen, his second in command, approached with urgency. "Sir, the scouting fleet is moving closer. They've detected our energy signatures and are sending reinforcements." Kennedy's expression did not change. Calm in the face of chaos had become second nature. "Good, let them come. They will find that Earth is no longer a world to conquer. It is a trap waiting for the reckless." Outside, Imperial ships hovered over Earth's orbit, sleek and menacing. They carried the weight of 1,000 victories in other systems. Yet there was a tension even among the seasoned commanders. Something about humans was different, unpredictable, deadly, and silent until it struck. On board the Earth Defense Fleet, small but fast ships darted through orbital lanes. They were armed with improvised weaponry, electromagnetic pulses, and cloaking technology that could hide them from Imperial sensors. Kennedy had turned humanity's lack of resources into a strategic advantage. Speed and cleverness mattered more than size. The first wave of attack came silently. Imperial ships moved in formation, confident in their power. But they underestimated the humans' patience. As the first vessels entered Earth's outer defenses, they encountered sudden disruptions, shields flickering, engines failing, sensors jammed. One by one, ships were disabled before they could fire. Captain Zorax, leading the Imperial fleet, felt frustration for the first time in his career. "How is this possible?" he barked to his officers. "We are superior in every way." "Their technology is primitive," an officer responded nervously. "Sir, they are using countermeasures that we cannot track. Their movements are too fast, too coordinated." Kennedy watched from the command center as small human ships emerged from hidden stations, striking with precision. Explosions dotted the space around the Imperial vessels, small but effective, crippling their formation. It was a human counterstrike, elegant and devastating. On the ground, human engineers were equally active. They had constructed rapid deployment defenses, using mobile turrets, decoys, and advanced camouflage. Every Imperial shuttle that tried to land encountered unexpected resistance. Troops trained for planetary occupation found streets empty, but booby traps, sensor mines, and hidden snipers made every step dangerous. The humans had turned Earth into a fortress without walls. Kennedy moved to the strategic board, a map of the Imperial fleet displayed before him. "We cannot let them land their ground forces," he said. "Every engagement must make them second guess, every strike must slow them. If we can delay them long enough, the Empire will learn what the galaxy already knows: they cannot underestimate humans." Meanwhile, aboard one of the Imperial ships, Captain Zorax convened with his lieutenants. "We cannot fight them directly. Their tactics are alien to us. We must find the command center and destroy it, or this battle will escalate beyond our control." Zorax's crew worked frantically to analyze intercepted communications, attempting to pinpoint Kennedy's location. But the humans were clever. False signals, encrypted messages, decoy transmissions. Every attempt to locate their leader was met with frustration and failure. Back on Earth, Kennedy addressed his fleet. "The Empire believes they can overwhelm us. Let them come. Every move they make, we counter. Every weakness they exploit, we turn into their trap. Humanity has survived countless threats. We are alive because we think, because we adapt, Because we never surrender. The first real clash in orbit exploded like a storm. Human ships, smaller and less armed, struck Imperial vessels in rapid succession using speed, maneuverability, and surprise. The Empire's firepower was immense, but humans used the environment, asteroid belts, orbital debris, and magnetic anomalies, to neutralize advantages. Imperial ships that boasted hundreds of times more firepower were destroyed in minutes, their crews stunned and demoralized. On the surface, human soldiers coordinated strikes against incoming Imperial shuttles. Mara Chen led a team through underground tunnels, striking from below, then vanishing into hidden exits. Each attack was precise, methodical, and terrifying. Imperial forces began to understand the truth. They were facing an enemy that did not fight like anything they had known. High above, in the Imperial Council, Voris watched the battle unfold through real-time feeds. His eyes narrowed. Humanity was not just resisting. They were dominating the engagement in ways the Empire could not predict. He whispered to himself, "So this is what fear feels like." Then, a new complication arose. From the edge of the system, sensors detected an anomaly, a massive dark vessel unlike anything the galaxy had catalogued. It moved silently, its energy signature ancient and ominous. Voris's scales tingled with instinctive dread. Kennedy noticed it too, even from Earth's command center. "Something else has arrived," Kennedy said, eyes narrowing. "And it's watching." The humans' counterstrike continued, slowing the Empire's advance, crippling their technology, and leaving a trail of confusion and panic. But both sides sensed the growing shadow of a third, unknown force, an ancient power that could destroy them all if it awakened fully. The calm, calculated humans and the overconfident Empire now shared a common fear, the threat that neither had anticipated. In orbit, in the streets and in the secret chambers of command, the first signs of panic appeared. Humanity's counterstrike had succeeded, but only partially. The Empire was wounded, shaken, humiliated, but it was still alive. And the new unseen presence loomed in the distance, waiting for the right moment to strike. Kennedy stood on a balcony overlooking Earth's oceans, lights of cities twinkling below. "They believe they can control the stars," he said quietly to Mara Chen. "They think their fleets make them gods. But the galaxy does not belong to the reckless. It belongs to those who survive, and we are just getting started." The humans had struck first. They had proven their strength, intelligence, and cunning. But the real war, the war that would shake the galaxy, was only beginning. And somewhere beyond the edge of known space, an ancient threat had begun to stir, sensing the awakening of forces far greater than any human or Imperial imagination. The Imperial fleet was shattered, but not defeated. Commander Zorax paced across the bridge of his flagship, his claws tapping impatiently against the metallic floor. "We underestimated them," he growled. "Every system we conquered, every fleet we destroyed. Humans were always the exception." His officers shuffled nervously, unable to find a solution to the chaos unfolding before them. Imperial sensors were overwhelmed. Their ships fell victim to sudden ambushes from invisible human craft, trapped in asteroid fields or disabled by electromagnetic pulses. Every attempt at a coordinated strike ended in failure, and the humans' tactics were proving impossible to predict. It was as if they knew the Empire's moves before the Empire even made them. Zorax's mind raced. If the humans were capable of this with limited resources, what would they do if fully unleashed? Meanwhile, on Earth, Commander Kennedy oversaw a network of operations spanning the planet and orbital defense stations. Communications buzzed with reports of Imperial retreats, destroyed shuttles, and unexpected sabotage within their ranks. Humans had turned the very landscape of their planet into a weapon. Hidden bunkers, underground tunnels, and mobile defenses made every Imperial step a deadly gamble. Kennedy analyzed the data with calm precision, preparing counterattacks that were as unpredictable as the humans themselves. Mara Chen reported from a forward command post, "Sir, the enemy is panicking. Their fleet cohesion is breaking. But there's a new signal. Something massive approaching from the outer rim." Kennedy's gaze hardened. He understood that the humans' victory so far had been only a prelude. Something ancient and dangerous was moving. Something beyond the Empire, something that could change the entire battle. The Empire's desperation grew. In secret chambers, Voris and his advisors debated strategies that would have been unthinkable days ago. Planetary bombardment, energy-draining weapons, and even biological tactics were proposed. extreme measures to crush humanity before their counterstrike could spread further. But each plan was met with failure, as humans had already predicted, adapted, and turned these very threats against the invaders. Back in space, small human squadrons moved like shadows, striking Imperial reinforcements before they even realized they were in danger. Earth itself became a fortress and a trap. As night fell over the planet, Earth cities glowed faintly, hidden sensors flickered alive, and humans waited silently, confident, but wary. They had won the first battle, but the Empire's desperation was a dangerous thing. And from the edges of the galaxy, the dark presence that Kennedy had sensed earlier drew closer, its silence louder than any cannon fire, waiting to see which side would survive its awakening. The outer rim of the galaxy shivered as a shadow unlike any the Empire or humanity had ever seen slipped silently through hyperspace. No lights, no signals, only a darkness that seemed to swallow entire star systems. Commander Kennedy watched the sensors in disbelief. "It's massive," he whispered. "And it's moving faster than any fleet we've tracked." The humans aboard the orbital stations exchanged tense glances. This was no ordinary enemy. The Imperial scouts had only caught glimpses of it before being obliterated, and even their most advanced weapons had failed to scratch its surface. Humanity realized that they were not only fighting the Empire, they were now facing something older, something that had watched civilizations rise and fall without interference, until now. On the Empire's flagship, Zorax felt a chill that was not caused by the vacuum of space. His claws trembled as the readings came in. Ships disappearing, communication lines dropping, entire fleets lost without a trace. This is not war," Zorax growled. "This is judgment." Panic spread like wildfire among the officers. Every tactical plan was useless. Every weapon designed to intimidate humans now seemed fragile and insignificant. The humans, however, remained eerily calm. They had faced impossible odds before, and though the scale of this new threat dwarfed everything they had ever known, their resolve did not falter. Kennedy activated the human fleet's stealth protocols, preparing to observe the approaching entity, to learn, and if necessary, fight it. The dark arrival moved like a storm across the cosmos, consuming planets in silent waves, bending light and energy around itself as if reality itself feared it. Yet humanity observed its patterns carefully. Mara Chen analyzed the distortions it caused in space-time and realized something astonishing. It was not mindless destruction. It moved with precision, as if seeking something specific. Kennedy understood instantly. "It's not just attacking. It's hunting," he said, and the Empire, blinded by arrogance, has become the bait. Across the galaxy, the Imperial fleets faltered, drawn into the path of this ancient hunter, while human forces maintained their distance, calculating, waiting for the right moment to act. As the first tendrils of the dark entity reached the outer colonies, a strange quiet descended. Signals from long-abandoned human settlements flickered back to life, automated defenses activating and mysterious energy fields forming over planets thought lost. The humans had prepared for this even without knowing the full power of the threat. Kennedy stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the darkness approaching Earth's sector. He knew that survival depended not just on strength but on understanding. "This is bigger than the Empire," he said quietly. "And if we misstep, everything dies. But if we succeed, we become legends they will whisper about for millennia." The shadow loomed closer, silent and eternal, and the stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate of the galaxy itself. The galaxy held its breath. After weeks of watching fleets vanish and colonies fall, the humans were ready to reveal their true strength. Commander Kennedy stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, the lead human battleship, eyes scanning the stars where the dark arrival loomed. The Empire's forces had grown frantic, sending wave after wave of ships into the void, all disappearing without a trace. Yet humanity had not panicked. They had learned. They had prepared. And now, it was their turn to act. Kennedy's fingers danced across the controls, activating hidden protocols that even the Empire did not know existed. The human fleet, though smaller in number, moved with terrifying precision. They had anticipated the entity's hunting patterns and the Empire's overconfidence. Every ship, every drone, every weapon had been strategically positioned. "Hold fire until my mark," Kennedy ordered. Around him, the crew tensed, knowing that patience could mean survival or death. From the shadows of the asteroid belts to the orbit of distant moons, humanity's forces had laid traps the Empire would never see coming. The dark entity advanced, its shadow stretching across solar systems, consuming light, energy, and life. The Empire, blinded by arrogance, rushed headlong into the path humanity had predicted. One by one, the Imperial warships were picked off by human ambushes, mines that bent space, laser volleys fired in perfect synchronization, and drones that struck like swarms of locusts. Every move the Empire made seemed anticipated, every escape route cut off. Yet the humans held back their full power, waiting for the entity itself to draw near. Kennedy watched, calm and calculating. They think they are attacking us. They have no idea who is really in control. Then it happened. The dark arrival descended into the human trap. A massive, silent shadow enveloped the fleet, its form nearly incomprehensible to the human eye. And then humanity struck. Orbital cannons fired, charged energy bursts that distorted space-time around the creature, forcing it to react. The Odyssey released stealth drones carrying quantum disruptors, which latched onto the entity and began breaking down its energy shield. Human ships moved with surgical precision, striking points that seemed impossible to hit. The entity roared, a soundless roar that rattled minds across light years and flung Imperial ships aside like toys. Yet humanity did not falter. Kennedy and his crew worked in perfect synchrony, coordinating attacks, exploiting weaknesses that no one else could see. Across the galaxy, colonies watched in awe. Humans who had survived hidden automated defenses activating across planets thought lost. Entire fleets of humans, disguised as harmless transport vessels, emerged from hiding, joining the assault with weapons that seemed far beyond the Empire's technology. Every attack hit with terrifying accuracy. The Empire's arrogance crumbled under the weight of human strategy. Zorak screamed orders that could not be fulfilled, while the entity itself, massive and ancient, began to show signs of struggle. Humanity was not just fighting, they were dominating, bending the battlefield to their will without revealing the full extent of their power. Mara Chen, analyzing the energy readings from the Odyssey's tactical station, gasped. "Commander, the entity is reacting to human presence differently than we expected. It's intelligent. It's learning. But our technology, it's rewriting the rules." Kennedy nodded. "Good. Let it underestimate us. That's the advantage humans always have." The humans pushed further, weaving through the entity's attacks, striking with unseen weapons, and dismantling Imperial formations in minutes that should have lasted hours. Every human move was precise, calculated, and devastating. Humanity had become the nightmare that the Empire never imagined could exist. And then the final phase began. Kennedy activated the Oblivion Protocol, a contingency plan designed for a threat like this. Ships that had been in reserve for decades, hidden behind false asteroids and deep in uncharted space, activated simultaneously. They unleashed a coordinated storm of plasma, quantum torpedoes, and gravitational distortions that pinned the entity and the remaining Imperial ships in place. The entity struggled, its energy waves crashing against human shields, but the humans pressed on relentlessly. It was not cruelty, it was survival. Every move displayed a level of ingenuity, ferocity, and coordination that no other species in the galaxy could match. Humanity had become more than a race, they had become a force of nature. When the dust settled, the dark arrival was forced to retreat, wounded and confused, leaving behind a trail of silence where once Imperial pride had screamed. The Empire, shattered and humiliated, could only watch as human fleets reorganized, calm and composed, almost as if the battle had been a rehearsal. Kennedy looked at the bridge crew, every face tired but resolute. "We didn't just survive," he said. "We reminded the galaxy why humans are never to be underestimated. Not power, not numbers. Humans, strategy, patience, and unity. That is our weapon." The galaxy would whisper of this day for centuries. Humans had struck back when hope seemed lost. The Empire had fallen into traps it didn't even know existed. The dark entity had encountered a force unlike any before. And humanity. Humanity had shown the first signs of the legendary power that no civilization had yet learned to fear, but would soon. As the stars gleamed across the bridge windows, Kennedy knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had awoken, and the universe would never be the same again. The remnants of the Empire trembled. After humanity's devastating counterattack, Entire fleets lay in ruins. Colonies had been liberated and the dark entity had retreated, wounded and wary. Yet the Emperor refused to surrender. In the heart of the Imperial core, on the command station known as the Eclipse Citadel, he prepared his final gambit. Thousands of ships armed with every weapon the Empire had ever designed converged for a last stand. Their goal was simple: crush humanity before the humans could consolidate their victories. But they underestimated what it meant to face the awakened human will. Commander Kennedy watched the tactical readouts aboard the Odyssey. The human fleet had grown stronger, joined by hidden resistance cells across liberated systems. Each ship, from the smallest scout to the massive dreadnoughts, moved like a single organism, anticipating enemy maneuvers before they occurred. Kennedy's voice was calm but firm. "This is it. They want a decisive battle. We'll give it to them, but on our terms." Around him, the crew prepared, checking weapons, shields, and stealth systems. Every human knew the stakes. Every human knew the galaxy would watch this battle and remember it forever. The first clash was brutal. The Empire's fleet surged like a tidal wave, energy cannons firing in unison, missiles streaking across the void. Yet humanity held its ground. Smaller human ships darted between massive Imperial cruisers, striking weak points, disabling engines, and cutting supply lines. Larger battleships unleashed volleys of quantum torpedoes and plasma storms, ripping through enemy formations. Imperial commanders shouted orders that went unheeded as human ships moved unpredictably yet flawlessly. For every Imperial strike, humans had a counter. For every trap, humans had an escape. Humanity's strategy was flawless and terrifying. High above the battlefield, the Eclipse Citadel glowed like a dark star. Inside, the Emperor seethed. He had relied on numbers, intimidation, and fear. None of it mattered. Reports flooded in, fleets destroyed, communication lines cut, his prized generals captured or dead. His voice echoed through the hall, trembling with fury. "Send everything. Leave nothing alive." Outside, thousands of warships raced toward the human fleet, energy shields blazing, weapons primed for annihilation. But Kennedy had anticipated this final rush. Human ships had formed layers of defense, outer fleets to absorb attacks, inner fleets to strike with precision, and hidden reserves waiting for the perfect moment to turn the tide. Then, the humans struck. Mara Chen, analyzing energy readings, pointed urgently at the holographic display. "Commander, the Eclipse Citadel's shields are weakening. Its main cannon is overcharging. If we time this right, we can cripple their entire fleet in one strike." Kennedy's eyes narrowed. "Do it. Prepare the fleet. This ends today." In perfect coordination, human ships penetrated the Imperial lines. Quantum disruptors tore through energy shields. Plasma storms blasted engines and stealth drones infiltrated the Citadel, sabotaging critical systems. The Empire's defenses crumbled like sand. The Emperor roared in disbelief as the humans appeared at the gates of his citadel. Unstoppable and relentless, the dark entity, sensing the shift in power, returned, not as an ally, but as a desperate predator. It crashed through space, aiming to devour everything in sight. But the humans were ready. Using coordinated attacks and their advanced technology, they funneled the entity into a trap that distorted its energy and motion. The creature thrashed, massive and terrifying, yet powerless against humanity's ingenuity. In a single decisive moment, the Odyssey fired the Oblivion Cannon, a weapon capable of collapsing localized space-time. The blast struck the entity, tearing it apart while the humans remained safely in the folds of warped space, untouched. Silence followed, broken only by the distant cries of the dying Empire. Inside the Eclipse Citadel, the Emperor faced Kennedy across the vast chamber, the remnants of his guards at his side. He had imagined this confrontation many times, but reality was different. The humans were calm, focused, and unyielding. Kennedy's voice echoed with quiet authority. "It's over. The Empire underestimated humans. Not numbers, not weapons, humans, strategy, unity, and the will to survive." The Emperor lunged, but it was too late. Security drones controlled remotely immobilized him. Kennedy approached, hands steady. "History will remember today. Your empire ended not because you were weak, but because you forgot the truth. Humans cannot be conquered. Never have, never will." As the Emperor was taken into custody, the human fleet reorganized. Across liberated systems, humans helped colonies rebuild, restoring life where the Empire had brought death. Ships that had once hidden in shadows now emerged openly, symbols of the power and resilience of humanity. Kennedy stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, looking out at the stars. The galaxy had seen humanity's fury, and it had learned to respect it. Humans had survived impossible odds, struck back with precision, and crushed an empire that had thought itself untouchable. And yet, Kennedy knew this was only the beginning. Humanity's awakening had sent ripples through the galaxy. Entire species would now rethink their assumptions, and countless civilizations would begin to fear what they had ignored for too long. The humans were no longer just survivors, they were rulers of their fate. The galaxy had witnessed the last stand of an empire, and the first true demonstration of human supremacy. And from the darkness of space, the stars themselves seemed to shimmer with the knowledge that humanity had arrived, and it would not be denied. The galaxy was silent. For the first time in millennia, no fleets clashed, no weapons fired. Stars glimmered like distant lanterns, watching as the humans, once underestimated, stood victorious. The empire lay in ruins, its leaders captured or fleeing, its fleets shattered. Humanity had not only survived, they had reshaped the balance of power in the galaxy. On the bridge of the Odyssey, Commander Kennedy stood with his officers, staring at the vast canvas of stars. Systems once under Imperial rule were opening communications, their inhabitants cautiously reaching out. Kennedy's mind ran through every battle, every strategy, every sacrifice. Humanity had proven something more than strength. It had proven ingenuity, courage, and an unbreakable will. "This is not the end," he said quietly, though his voice carried through the bridge. "It's only the beginning. The galaxy will never see humans the same way again." In the liberated systems, humans worked quickly. Relief ships carried supplies, engineers repaired cities, and fleets protected colonies from lingering threats. Aliens who had once feared humanity now watched in awe as humans moved with purpose and precision. For some, it was terrifying. For others, inspiring. Across the galaxy, stories spread of human ships outnumbered but never defeated, of human tactics that no species had predicted, of a species that could turn desperation into victory. Myths about human power grew, whispered in shadowed corners and council chambers alike. Meanwhile, on the eclipsed citadel, the captured emperor seethed in his cell. He had thought he was untouchable, that fear and fleets were enough. He had been wrong. Through the glass walls, he could see human officers entering and leaving, confident and disciplined. He realized that humans did not need terror to command respect. They commanded it through action, through unity, through a will that even the mightiest empire could not break. In a final gesture of defiance, he spoke to himself, bitter and quiet. "They are something else." The humans did not linger on vengeance. Kennedy knew that true power came not from destruction, but from shaping what would come next. The galactic councils convened and humans took their place, not as conquerors, but as mediators. Their fleet patrolled borders, ensuring peace. Colonies rebuilt under their guidance and trade routes reopened. Diplomats from countless species approached humanity, some seeking alliance, some merely wishing to observe. All left with the same conclusion: humans were not to be underestimated ever again. And then something extraordinary happened. Deep in the void, a signal arrived, ancient and cryptic. It was not from any known empire, species, or fleet. It pulsed across the galaxy, carrying a message encoded in patterns that no one fully understood, but humans decoded it. It spoke of a hidden legacy, a network of civilizations that had observed life across galaxies, waiting for a species capable of true resilience. The message acknowledged humanity not as a threat, but as a rising force. Humanity had passed the test that countless species had failed. It was a signal of recognition, respect, and an invitation to ascend beyond known limits. Kennedy stood in the observation dome of the Odyssey, watching the stars shimmer with the knowledge of what awaited. Humanity had endured the impossible, turned despair into triumph, and crushed an empire that had seemed invincible. And yet, there was more ahead. A galaxy full of mysteries, of civilizations waiting, of challenges that would test human resolve once again. But for the first time, the humans looked at the stars not with fear, not with doubt, but with understanding. They were ready. As word spread, Celebrations erupted across colonies and planets. Children who had never known peace now danced under human flags. Citizens from liberated systems sang songs of freedom. Ships flew in formation, leaving trails of light that carved the sky like ribbons. Humanity's victory was not just military, it was symbolic. It showed the galaxy that even in the darkest times, a species united by will, intelligence, and courage could rise above any threat. But amidst the celebration, Kennedy remained vigilant. He had learned that the galaxy was unpredictable and that true power came from foresight and preparation. Orders were given to continue exploring, to map unknown sectors, and to establish a network of communication and defense. Humans would not just survive, they would thrive, expanding their knowledge, their influence, and their understanding of the universe. Every decision was made carefully, every move measured, every action designed to secure the future of humanity and the galaxy it now protected. Finally, Kennedy addressed his crew. "We've faced death, we've fought empires, and we've shown the galaxy what humans are capable of. But we are not here to rule through fear. We are here to prove that intelligence, courage, and unity are the greatest weapons of all. Remember this, and humanity will endure for eons." Around him, the crew nodded. They understood. They had seen what humans could do when cornered, and they had seen what they could achieve when they fought not just for survival, but for a vision. As the Odyssey lifted from orbit, trailing its fleet across the stars, humanity's presence became undeniable. Across the galaxy, countless civilizations now whispered tales of the humans, their victories, their strategies, their unyielding will. And somewhere far beyond the edge of explored space, the signal pulsed again, acknowledging the rise of a new force, a force that would shape the destiny of galaxies. Humanity had not just survived the greatest war the galaxy had ever known. Humanity had ascended, and the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter, as if recognizing that a new era had begun. A human era, forged in fire, tempered by loss, and destined for greatness. The galaxy would remember this moment forever. The galaxy was alive with whispers. Every star system, every planet, every space station knew of humanity's rise. The once feared empires had crumbled, and new alliances formed seeking guidance or protection from the humans who had shattered impossible odds. Humanity had not merely survived the galactic war, they had become the standard against which all civilizations measured themselves. Commander Kennedy stood once again on the Odyssey, looking out at the endless expanse of stars. The ship had seen every type of battle, from sudden ambushes in asteroid fields to massive fleet clashes in orbit over vital planets. Now it drifted peacefully through a sector recently stabilized under human oversight. Kennedy's mind, however, remained sharp, alert to the quiet tension beneath the calm. The galaxy had changed, but it remained dangerous. Humanity's dominance did not guarantee peace. It only demanded vigilance. Across the newly liberated worlds, humans worked tirelessly. Engineers repaired broken cities. Doctors treated survivors, and educators rebuilt schools for the children who had known only war. Humanity's philosophy spread alongside its power. Strength tempered by wisdom, victory used not for tyranny but for security and unity. Other species observed humans closely, studying their ways, trying to understand the mind that had outmaneuvered countless empires. Some species approached with trust, others with cautious envy. All realized the same truth. Humans were no longer the species to be ignored. Deep in the void, the mysterious signal continued to pulse. The humans had learned much from it. It was a map, a challenge, and an invitation all at once. It hinted at civilizations beyond known space, civilizations that had not interfered in galactic affairs for millennia, watching the rise of new powers. Kennedy had no doubt that the signal was meant to test humanity once more, and humanity was ready. Humans had survived the impossible. Now they would venture where none dared, not as conquerors but as explorers, protectors, and pioneers. Meanwhile, former imperial leaders were brought to trial on the Council of Free Worlds. They faced accusations not only of war crimes but of underestimating humanity, a mistake that had cost them everything. The trials were meticulous, fair, and symbolic. They reminded the galaxy that human justice was as formidable as human strength. Across the chambers, alien species listened as humans presented evidence, strategies, and testimonies, revealing the brilliance and resilience that had toppled empires. The verdicts were swift but measured. Humanity was merciful but firm. Back aboard the Odyssey, Kennedy convened his senior officers. "We've achieved what no one thought possible," he said. "But now the galaxy watches. Every decision we make, every system we help, every threat we neutralize, it shapes our legacy. Humanity must lead not by fear but by example. We are the protectors, the explorers, and the force that turns chaos into order. Never forget that." The officers nodded, understanding that the victories of the past were only the foundation for what lay ahead. Humanity's fleets spread further into unknown regions. They discovered planets untouched by conflict, species that had never interacted with the galaxy at large, and technologies that challenged understanding. Every encounter strengthened humanity's reputation, not as conquerors but as equals, as problem solvers, as a force capable of preserving life in a universe that had grown ruthless. For the first time, humans were shaping galactic history, not reacting to it, and then a new threat emerged, not an empire, not a fleet, but a phenomenon, a massive cosmic storm moving across known space unlike anything recorded. Scientists, pilots, and strategists worked tirelessly to understand it. The storm was dangerous, unpredictable, and seemingly intelligent. It threatened communication networks, travel routes, and even entire planets. Humanity's response was immediate. Ships braved the storm, research teams studied it, and colonies were reinforced. This was no ordinary disaster. It was a test of human ingenuity, courage, and coordination. And humanity would rise to meet it. Amid the storm, Kennedy reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From the first invasion, when humans were laughed at, to the destruction of the greatest empires, to the rise as the new standard of galactic power, it had been a story of relentless courage and unshakable will. Humanity had proven something deeper than strength. They had proven that hope, intelligence, and unity could defy even the most impossible odds. As the Odyssey led the fleet into the heart of the storm, the crew moved with seamless precision, relying on instincts honed by years of battle and challenge. Ships weaved through lightning-like energy discharges, sensors detected and countered anomalies, and humans adapted faster than anyone had predicted. The storm, for all its fury, could not break them. Humanity's legacy was no longer about survival. It was about mastery, about taking the unknown and shaping it into something navigable. Finally, as the storm's edge passed, the fleet emerged into a calm, uncharted sector. Stars burned brighter, uncorrupted by chaos. Signals from civilizations long hidden rippled across space. Humanity had passed yet another test, proving that no challenge, no threat, no empire could suppress them. The galaxy looked on, fully aware now. Humans were not only survivors, they were the architects of the future. Kennedy gazed at the horizon of stars, a rare smile crossing his face. "This is our time," he said. "We fought empires, faced death, and endured storms no one else could survive, and now we shape the galaxy." Around him, the crew cheered, not for conquest, but for purpose. Humanity had reached the pinnacle of its first great era, not by fear, not by domination, but by courage, intelligence, and unity. Across the galaxy, civilizations whispered tales of the humans. Songs were sung, legends written, and histories rewritten. The name humanity became synonymous with resilience, honor, and brilliance. And somewhere, deep in the void, the ancient signal pulsed once more, acknowledging humanity's rise. A species no longer defined by survival, but by destiny. Humanity had ascended. The galaxy would never be the same. And as new stars beckoned, new civilizations emerged and new challenges awaited, one truth remained certain. Humans would meet them all, together, and they would endure forever.